Hello, everybody. Market review for February 4th, 2026. And what a day. Not going to really look at futures right now because it's not that important. Copper kind of just sitting in this base. Gold just sitting here as well. Silver as well. Um, I guess we'll start with Bitcoin. Just continuing lower. Not much to say here. I mean, man, this has been quite the awful trip. We'll zoom out to the weekly, and I do think we're extended to the downside. I mean, we are about 10% from the moving average. Typically, you'll see some sort of short term rally into the declinings, and then maybe get another consolidation or just a little build up, chop, and then most likely another leg down unless we can flip the tide. As of right now, like I think I've talked about this a lot. You know how I still hold a bearish stance, and it's looking more feasible. I mean, especially if this 74K level range. You know, if we don't undercut and rally this, then I mean it's almost a no go that we're headed down to the 60K, which is honestly the perfect landing spot in a way for the 2021 top and this 2024 consolidation. If you just stick down here and then kind of do one of these where it takes some time to just build out again over time. But yeah, nothing of value in terms of upside here. VIX closing higher up, so definitely in shady waters, but keeps rejecting this 20 range. Maybe we pop higher off fear. I'm surprised we didn't pop higher today with the crazy amounts of selling across the board. So what does that mean? That maybe we get more selling if the market's not like you'd expect VIX to be up by like 24 at that rate of what was going on today. But because it's mainly a lot of growth tech and high beta and momentum names, and a lot of other sectors of the market actually stood up, which is what I'll show you before we move on to the S&P and QQQ. RSP, which is the equal weight for the SPY, so the equal weight amongst all the stocks within, hit a new all-time high today. So that's very, very interesting. You look at something like consumer staples is just going parabolic right now. Not the bullish thing for like the momentum and growth names that we're in, but there's money just rotating. So I'm not too concerned regarding like look at industrials, look at utilities. Not I'm just kind of going through them, but like we went through consumer staples, tech. I mean, in the gutter as we know, financials, energy. I'm pretty sure it's just like look. This is typically when you see a risk off market, as you could fucking tell, but energy is just. And we saw this in the beginning of 2022 as well, actually, which is kind of interesting to note. Where you break out of this base. This is when the bear market started with the correction. That's not fear mongering, but typically when you see these sectors start to pop off, it's gonna be a long year. Like 2022 was a long year. Same thing happened here, if I'm not mistaken. 2022. Well, once again, under different context, actually, this didn't happen here, but because consumer staples is more tied to the consumer, of course, but energy had that, moments of shine. Anyways, back to the regular Dixie, just sitting there, weak. Futures, copper, Bitcoin, VIX. QQQ, terrible day, to say the least. We had the failed breakout, continue to reject this gap, or this resistance zone. Closed below the 50 yesterday, gap down, sell off, bounce off these lows, but just the weakness continues. And even if you look at the weekly, like this is super ugly. And at this point, it's like, you'd rather Bitcoin just pull back, even maybe even this deep, 15% from the highs, 10, 12 to 15%. But excuse me, what would that do for stocks that are already getting obliterated? That's the tall question, and that's what everyone wants to figure out. But at this point, it really looks like this is going to be a long year, and yeah, I don't know if everybody's going to make it through. Like it really feels like we're in this type of area where it's just a year of downside. But in a year's time, that sets up some of the greatest moves that I witnessed myself during this moment, during these uptrends in the following years. these past couple of years. So who knows? Could be wrong, but it is getting, like most times when you get this squeeze in the moving averages like this, and as of right now we're breaking it. I mean, like you've got it here. You get a, this one was lucky and rapid, but it's like a 29% decline. Like you get it here, you get a 37% decline. You get the squeeze here, you get a 22% decline. Like quite telling, like if you really want to, like, what are we going to get? Is it going to be back down to here? Like, are we just going to slowly chop, slow here, and then boom? Who knows? We'll see. But it's not a great look. I think the monthly is very interesting as well because you can just tell we're consolidating, but now we're actually catching up to the moving averages, so will be interesting to tell. SPY somewhat stronger than QQQ, finishing above the 50 simple, but once again, not a great look. And sitting under the 10, so slightly stronger, but once again, this needs more consolidation, if anything, because look how much farther we're above the 10 simple on this one. Just not the best looks in the market right now. Hood just don't even want to talk about it in a way, but continues to free fall. This whole time I wasn't convinced until I'd say about here, 104 on the break of the 200, where I was like, yeah, man. And I've killed myself. I gambled, no self-awareness for not selling this anywhere along this whole stretch of 6 months, just filled with hopium. Now I'm paying for it in giving back profits. And love this stock long term, but man, this one's getting taken to the slaughterhouse, and I don't really see it landing anywhere till like 65, if I'm brutally honest. And that's me coming as a bull. Maybe the low 70s could offer, like a wick down and then hold around here. This would be the most ideal. Guess we'll see. Short term, I'm looking for a snapback, pullback, snapback, test the declining moving averages, and then most likely it's going to roll over again. So I'm going to be looking to, once we get the bounce the next couple days on earnings, maybe on earnings, look to start my hedges again. Just not the place right now. I got kind of lucky yesterday. We could have easily bounced, but we went down again today. So yeah, I've just been getting liquidated on this. It's been awful. EOS mentioned in the room that closed below the 50, closed below the support zone, we closed below it, closed right on it, and then we lost it today completely. Not a great look. This is probably going to simmer down to this 10 target, which I will use for buys. This is actually the uglier picture that I think, which means that this is just going to start to come down here. Maybe earnings changes the story. Still consolidating though. You like to always look at the bigger scale, but it looks like we have a date with $10 for EOS. Iron closing below the 50, starting to decline right before earnings. Maybe earnings can save this if it doesn't get sold off. I'd be surprised, but not looking great too. But like I said, I don't want to be too big of a bear right now. I think we get a bounce first, and then we could adjust from there. I still think the market's going to bounce from here. Now, I'm not saying just straight to new all-time highs, everything goes back up. I think we're just going to see a maybe retest back towards 695. I mean, things are severely oversold. This is the one that everyone's talking about, is the soft 4-1 highs falling over back-to-back days. Kind of looks like capitulation at this point. I don't know. We'll see. But we were on iron. So yeah, I mentioned don't really buy here. I'd wait, if anything, down to this range of price. Let's see what happens after earnings is my first thought. TE, huge, terrible day. Seems like we're going to at least come down to the 50 first to test this. I'll be a buyer a little bit. I'll be nibbling here at least. You don't want to lose this spot, ideally. I mean, honestly, you don't want to lose this spot as well, ideally. So then that opens the door back to this, 5, up to more chop in a way. But nothing wrong with it. I mean, went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months in a row. So, I guess it's hard to justify buying here. And that's why I'm going to stop my buying here for now and wait until conditions are better. Or I'm just going to at least wait for the pullback into the 5-6 range to buy more. Joby, like what it's doing here. Typically when you get this action, you start to see a reversal in pattern, and it's an ugly picture. It doesn't look good at all at the moment, but like I said, smallest position, hold it on the monthly for now. I think the more important thing is this 10 area, and you could just see that it 10-30 area continues to respect it. Maybe it undercuts it and just continues to die down. Hopefully not, but not saying it just turns bullish automatically, but just kind of chills out from here and you know starts to move this way. Rocket Lab holding the 50-day. I don't really want to see it break this, but it's kind of getting concerning at this point. Like maybe we get another one of these huge declines after this rally, and that would probably bring us to like the 50 range. It's just super extended, so definitely deserves some pullback. But love the name long term. Cypher, shakedown, broke the zone, closed back above it. I mean, if you lose this kind of support gap zone, it's not a good look. I mean, this thing can easily head back down to the 9-10 range after that. But as of now, it's holding it. Not a bullish look. Below all declining, below all key moving averages beside the 200. I think this might have a day with the 200, then a bounce. But kind of as a confirmation, I'd say below today's lows. But that's kind of deep, so I'd say kind of just below 1350 is your signal that this is headed lower. KTOS holding the 50. Below this, it's open air all the way back down to the 200. ASTS closed below the 20. Want to get another day for confirmation. And otherwise, it looks like it's headed towards the 50 back in the 80s. Nvidia, ugly, looking for the 200 test. It's imminent. Most likely will happen. And, you know, like, what's to think about Nvidia? You know, moving averages all coiled up, closed above, now nuking below. Is this going to drop and then rally? Is this just going to completely nuke? Who knows? I guess we're here to find out. But definitely not the best look when you have, you know, the cornerstone of the market starting to break down. Especially if we lose this 10 monthly, then this is things headed for even a steeper decline. That's just the reality of the situation right now. It really seems like it's going to be like a 2022-esque type of year. Avgo, we play this one short. Went short this day. Held yesterday, even after the rally attempt, and then closed off around here, 300, which was my target zone. Didn't think it hit so quick, but it did. And I'm happy I closed it for the following reasons. Look at that rally right back. I mean, I would have been damn near break even at this point. But the reason why I went short on this one was, so saw the support gap, but kept projecting the 10 declining, the 20 declining, 2 rejections. You know, on this day, pumps up to here. I enter around here, and you know, whatever, closes below it, and this is my stop. So we gap up in the morning. Not the best idea, but ended up being the best scenario for me. Instead of adding here, unfortunately, we opened here. Yeah. Instead of adding here, like I wish I did, sizing up off the rejection, it would have been, you know, price moving back below the 20 intraday. And then I didn't add, but I just held my full position, went nuked all the way down. Was kind of shocked. We get the rally back into the close. And I just said, you know, I'm going to hold. I'm still convicted this is headed lower. Get the slight gap down and just this nuke from open. Bottoms halfway through the day. And the way I was able to sell and identify this is a guy on Twitter named Ariel. That's been helping. You know, I look into for a lot of advice. And one of the moves he does is once you get, he calls it a 620 cheat. Basically, you get this nuke down, and it starts to rise, kind of consolidate here. I ended up selling here over the break of this high, a little after right here, just to get the candle confirmation. But at this point, you know, once again, I could have thought it was going to head back lower right here. Probably thought it would in the moment. But that's always like when you start to see this curl to the side, and then you're going to always get this drastic push. And that drastic push eventually led to a huge pop after hours after Google earnings, and I am so happy I got out of that one for $500 profit. Amazon closing below the 50, sitting on the trend line, earnings tomorrow. That'll be the real decider. My guess is it comes down to here. Maybe it stays flat, and then after. Everything, like nothing tech related looks good. So I probably should start covering everything else not tech related. My whole watch list is tech related, but it means the main names that everybody watches. So Tesla looks like it wants to test the 200. So the Amazon. Tesla looks like it wants to test the 200. As regardless, simple. Not a good look either. This one looks like it wants to pull back even more, even with all the bullish news. Maybe it finds support here, but if not, this thing's got a deeper pullback. You notice how every chart looks like they want to pull back more and more and more. Google flat on earnings pretty much after the shakeout both ways. Going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. My guess, we sell off to the 50 moving average. If I had to take a guess, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to watch this under today's low at day tomorrow, or potentially if we go higher and then lose the 10 or the 20, I'm going to look to go short this. And you see, I don't like shorting things in uptrends, so actually I'm going to refute that. I'm sure there's a better setup out there, but it's just something it's an idea I'm going to watch, because I think on any market weakness below this low, or a pump back up and then a loss of the 10 and the 20, it's going to send this down to the 50 in the next couple days to week. Palantir just nuking after a phenomenal earnings. Couldn't save it. Ran right into the 200 declining. Back below it now, and this thing looks like it's set for 120. Maybe not in a straight line like Hood did, but not a great look as well over here for Palantir. Microsoft, just in no man's land, complete risk off, complete ugly picture. Nothing to love here. Most likely headed down to the 390 range, maybe even lower. Meta selling off another day after the earnings pop. Back under the 200, not a good look. Weekly SMAs are super coiled, so you really want to see it hold this area. I think below this 660 level, it gets into real trouble again. But if it can hold this range, would be a decent look. Apple, the safe haven for now, but I don't think it'll be the safe haven for much longer. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, who knows, but once again, when these type of things happen, people just run to buy Apple as like a safety way, in a sense, if that makes sense. But it clearly hit this 277 resistance again. So I'd watch out for any weakness on this, which would probably lead to the market going lower. So overall, definitely short-term caution, and still in a sense a higher low. QQQ invalidated that. So tech just continuing to be weakness, but if QQQ is going to drag down, I mean, at one point, SPY, like it's insane how much it's holding up for how many of these names are down. Like we have not seen this before. That's why the market's so interesting. Where so many names are 30-70% off their highs, yet the market's sitting at highs is actually phenomenal strength. Or just chop and it's waiting to be dropped. And like, what does that mean for like a Hood? That's already down 50% from its highs. SPY corrects another. SPY's not even corrected. SPY's down like 1% from its 1.8%. How much if SPY goes down 10%? Where the fuck is a name like Hood going? It's 50, maybe even lower. Where's a name like Coin going? If SPY gets down there, like 100, like who knows? Where's a name like Pounds here going? If once again, 100. I mean, it's crazy. People are paying the valuations of the future. It was a great earnings, and yes, it's overvalued on paper, but people will pay for the story. I mean, I keep going. Where's a name like Spot gonna go? Just continuing to nuke. I mean, like, this is most likely what Hood's gonna do, in my opinion. Where's like Netflix gonna go? Where's an app gonna go? I mean, look at this thing. It's completely dismantled. There's a couple names, for instance. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I got. We're kind of ending up on time, but been making good money, selling calls, hedges, taking short-term plays so far the year, but my underlying is disgusting because of my lack of self-awareness and lack of rules that I decided to follow in terms of not selling Robinhood, because I viewed it as more of an investment instead of a trade, but it could be both at the same time, and I definitely should have sold a large amount of my holdings after riding it up from 20. And I'm paying the price for it, so earnings will be an interesting tell in terms of the story. But yeah, man, just not a good look. My one goal this year is going to be sell the hell out of premiums and kind of just make that my method. But yeah, that's all I got for today. Thank you.